Hi, Lynn again. This is Lynn Logic, the strength beneath our wings. Welcome to Lynn Logic, a place filled with survival, hope, humor, and fuck is my favorite word. This episode is about a hell of a woman forged in fire, Patricia Trish Hodges. But first, if you want to be a guest on Lynn Logic, send me an email at lynnlevine@gmail.com. Slots are booking up fast. I figure with me being at 250,000 views a month, I can share my audience. And if you would like me to be a guest on your podcast, email me at lynnlevine@gmail.com. Same one as before, but it gives me a chance to repeat the email. Before we get into it, let me first give you a quick recap. I'm a widow of a cross-dressing alcoholic, and I'm a survivor of a blood clot in my brain caused by birth control pills, an experience that ultimately led to a hysterectomy. I'm also the daughter of a man who spent 23 years in prison. Trauma and I are well acquainted. Those are just the top three highlights. I may come across as a walking embodiment of Murphy's Law, but laughter has always been part of my survival plan. Professionally, I have spent 25 years working in accounting and operations across real estate, car dealerships, and hotels. I also hold a BA in psychology. I have always loved patterns, numbers, and categories. Lynn Logic exists because of that love. Before we get into it, if you like thoughtful, honest conversations that don't pretend life is tidy, go ahead and like and subscribe and stick around. This channel grows by word of mouth, not bullshit. If you want a fast track intro into the Lynn Logic library, check out the combined videos, My Narrative and The Worst Day Ever for a crash course. Also, Lynn Logic is now a podcast, which means you can totally listen to me while other people talk at you. You can find the podcast on Dystopia, YouTube, Apple, Amazon, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and Spotify, which, like YouTube, Spotify holds both video and audio. I'm trying to be everywhere. Can you tell? Follow along on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Threads, and TikTok too. Over on Dystopia, I've made merch because of course I did. My twisted sense of humor also comes with visuals. You're welcome. Let's get started. Hi, Lady Lynn Levine here. For real, I'm totally a lady. You can buy land in Scotland and then you become a lady. And so I did that. It's like 1 square foot by 1 square foot. And then they were like, do you want to plant a tree? And I was like, well, of course I do. Always plant a tree. So I tried something new this time. After the interview with Trish, I realized that we had forgotten a part of her story, even though we talked for a long time, and this is two-part episode. But we forgot to talk about her physical struggles in life, her health. I mean, it literally is the makeup of how she moves throughout her day. And so rather than me write anything, I let Trish write it and I'm going to read it. Now, I'm probably going to make comments in the middle of it because I have such a high opinion of her and I kind of think she's a total badass. Not kind of, I mean, I totally think she's a badass. So let's get started. Trisha's story. Trisha's a woman who has walked through pain, loss, exhaustion, and uncertainty, but she has never been alone. God has been with her, even before she knew him. In her early 30s, she spent 4 weeks in bed with what doctors thought was mononucleosis. Nothing changed. She didn't get better. What followed was months of doctor's visits, confusion, and tests until she was finally diagnosed with fibromyalgia. For those of you who don't know, fibromyalgia is pain in every part of your body and a fatigue so heavy it steals your strength. There were days when her husband had to carry her to the bathroom. Her children played around her because she was laying on the sofa, too exhausted to move. In 1996, God miraculously healed her. That story alone could fill a book, and one day she would love to share it. She was soon back to work, serving and ministering to women. Then came 2001, the year from hell. In 6 short months, she was slapped by her husband's infidelity as he worked in a different town, single parenting two teenagers in the house while sprouting their independent, rebellious wings. And then both her husband and her losing their jobs within 3 weeks of each other due to the economy. Emergency surgery for her and menopause all at the same time. The circumstances and effects of the anesthesia from the surgery left her in a state of depression. Soon after that, they had to leave their dream home and move to Pennsylvania. She remembers singing Give Me Jesus every single day, determined to keep her mind focused on hope. They immediately found a wonderful church where she found community, purpose, and joy again. For the first time in her life, she joined the choir and found that so exciting and relaxing. She chose life. She chose love. She chose to get up and was able to come off of the depression medication and return to work. Over the next year, she worked in multiple positions, even with two bone on bone knees. What does that mean? What are two bone on bone knees? I'm gonna have to Google that one. When surgery seemed like the next step, life shifted again. Another move, another job, another season of pushing through fatigue and pain. She became a church secretary, and that role kept her looking forward to the next chapter in what she calls her book of life. Then her husband had a widowmaker heart attack and miraculously survived. Unable to do the work he had done for years, he was offered a much better position in South Carolina, just minutes from their daughter and granddaughter. So they moved again. But with that move came a new wave of symptoms: pain, weakness, exhaustion. She knew it was time to retire. She could still babysit her granddaughter and even homeschool her for kindergarten. And slowly the desire for ministry began to rise again. She started writing her book series called Love in a Drawer and speaking at churches and women's groups. Then COVID hit, 4 times for her. Each time it took more of her strength, her mobility, her clarity. Eventually, she was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis, something she had unknowingly lived with for at least 20 years. The medications caused chronic bronchitis, and after one ER visit being told, get used to it, we can't do anything for you, she made the decision to stop the medication and live with the pain. That's been 4 years, and she hasn't had bronchitis since. But retirement and PSA didn't take the desire to minister and see women rise up in hope and purpose. And at the age of 69, she created Looking Up 24, thanks to the internet. Women Women began finding hope, identity, and purpose through her messages. Even as she faced congestive heart failure and other health challenges, ministry kept flowing. Some days she would show up in pajama bottoms, a business top, and a migraine. But it's so amazing how once women started talking, she would forget about how she felt. Purpose has a way of lifting pain. Today, she is still here ministering, still encouraging, and still showing up. Not because her body is strong, but because she lives every day looking up to the Lord and know He is not done with her yet. Her testimony is simple. She has suffered, struggled, and been knocked down more times than she can even count. But every single time, God has lifted her face and reminded her to keep looking up and remember He has a good future for her. Life verse Jeremiah 29:11. I am living proof that our purpose is stronger than our circumstances or pain, and our story can become a lifeline for someone else. I love seeing the ripples created as one woman finds her spark and passes it on to another. Wow. Okay, so this is why I wanted her to write it because honestly, there's no way I could have done that justice. I mean, wow. So I want to introduce you to Trish Hodges. And I swear that the tagline for this episode has to be the line that she actually says in the middle of the interview, where she goes, I don't know if I can share this. Oh, you can edit it later. Oh, wait, this is Lynn Logic. I moved in with a gigolo. Okay, great, right?
Hi, welcome to Lynn Logic. I hope you're having a great day. I am so excited. Today I have Trish Hodges from Looking Up 24 here, and we are so excited. We're going to have a nice, lovely conversation and can't wait for you guys to meet her. Please welcome Trish, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Lynn. I'm so excited to talk with you today.
Yay. I do want to tell you guys I guest spot on a two-parter with Trish. Under Heaven is the name of her podcast, and I'm going to make sure that you guys have a link for it in here.
I so enjoyed
All
it.
right. Oh, it was so much fun. Are you kidding me? I'm hot flashing here. Sorry. All right. So I want you guys to meet Trish, and so we're going to go ahead and get right into it. And I have got a great first question for you. You describe yourself as a teacher and a guide. Were you always the person that people came to, or did life make you that person?
Well, I believe it was always there because I believe we're born with our innate traits and that. However, as a child, I wasn't allowed to be out, wasn't allowed to be in public. I was just kept close to home. I was raised by
Mm-hmm.
my step grandmother, and so I didn't get to go out except to school, and I wasn't allowed to play with the kids after school. But so it really wasn't until my adult life where I began to minister, or well, not minister to, but talk with people and be able to communicate and realize, yes, I've got something I can share with them. So then people did start to come to me. So
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about the beginning. You've talked about your struggles. You and I have conversed about it. Can we share some of those? Would you mind?
oh no, no problem, because that is that's what I'm here for, to let people know that whatever struggles we have, we can still go forward. Our story's not over no matter what. And my story started as a 18-month-old daughter who had her mom die. And when my mom died, my dad was just young. He didn't know what to do with a kid. And so I was kind of passed around to family members. And, this one's not working this day. She can watch her. Oh, this was on. He can watch it. And finally, my
Mm-hmm.
grandpa, my dad's dad, uh, took me in, him and my step grandma took me in. And they provided everything I needed. I had the food, the clothes, the whole housing. Um, but there was still that feeling of loss. My grandma was not a nurturer. She was not a woman
Mm-hmm.
who was real cuddly and loving and that. And my grandpa did pass away, and he had his issues too. He was an alcoholic, a womanizer. He'd been to jail a couple times, but yet I was his princess. And
Yes.
he's the one that
Yes.
loved me and made me feel special. So when he died at the age of 8, I felt lost again. I felt nobody wanted me. And of course, with my grandma having the tendency she had, I felt that I was a burden to people, actually. And and so that just really set me off into um, being a free 1960s and 70s person. I tried everything. I was very curious. I was very curious as a kid.
Experimental.
There you go. Yes, yes. Because I was alone so much, I loved to read, and I loved, like Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. Experiencing new adventures and getting into. And I would want to do that, but then of course my grandma would be like, "Girls don't do that. Girls don't go
Mm.
out and ride a motorcycle through the woods," even though I did, and I got in trouble. You know, those are just the things that I was expressing myself. I was expressing who I was. And the older I got, of course, the more expression I gave.
Mm.
Yeah, it wasn't a good thing, though.
Oh, well, the best part is we are going to actually come back to that when we hit back on the journey in the second part. So
Okay.
I can't wait for us to talk about that. So check it out, people. All right. But I do have more questions for you. So
Yes, ma'am.
I can't wait to touch on that part. So, oh, I love this. I actually really love this question. You call yourself a retired wife, mom, grandma, and great grandma. LOL. I have to ask, what's behind the LOL?
I think I do more and work harder now than when I had a job.
Right?
I have done everything. I went to school to be a teacher, so I had that part, and I did teach later on in life as well. But then I got into office work, and I was thinking, so it was so funny because back when I was growing up in the '60s, a woman was a teacher, a nurse, or a secretary, or she worked at the
Hmm.
restaurant, and
Or she was a housewife.
there you go. Yes.
Hmm.
And I chose teacher. I love being a teacher. I line my dolls up and stuff and teach my dolls. And so anyway, talk about brains. Oh, the LOL. So I went to school to be
See?
a teacher, but I was a bookkeeper. I was a secretary. I even worked for a car dealership. So I kind of
Done
hit the
that.
of it. Yeah.
Yep,
And
done that. Spent a decade there.
when I so when I retired, it's like, oh yay. But you know what? When I retired was when I started writing books.
Mhm. Yes.
And
Well, and
it just kept going.
exactly. And here's the thing about being a grandmother or a grandfather is that, of course, it's going to be a lot more because not only do you still have your children, you
Mhm.
now get to spoil their
Yes,
children, but you
absolutely.
still are a mother and now you're a grandmother. It's not like you stopped becoming a mother, you just added a grand to it.
That's right. And I did. We
Hmm.
moved down to South Carolina in when my youngest granddaughter, I've got four grandchildren. My youngest one was 6 months old when we moved down here with her. And so I took care of her as her mom worked. I was the babysitter. And then when she went to
Hmm.
kindergarten, I was her teacher. We did homeschooling. And so it's like I felt like I was kind of raising another one, you know?
You mean to tell me that the retired teacher that turned into grandmother then became a teacher again,
Yes.
but
Yes.
less pay, surprisingly less pay,
I know that. The
except
pay
for
was the
love.
joy. Yeah,
Yeah, I was
the
gonna
pay was the
say.
joy. And it was such an experience because my granddaughter, well, maybe she's a lot like me when I was younger. she she's very wants to do what she wants to do. And
Hmm.
it was quite interesting trying to do kindergarten with her because she was nothing like what my children were at that age. So we both learned.
Good, good. Is there anything else that you would like to add in regards to the start of your life, the beginning of your life, that you think other people would benefit from hearing, or you just want to share?
I would like to just let people know that however your life has started out, that there is always an opportunity if it's been in the negative or like mine spiraling down. There's always that opportunity to come up. It's that opportunity to have
Mhm,
hope for change and to be able to help other people. Um,
mhm.
like I said, as a child, I didn't really have much of a life as a child. Just I was there. I went to school and that was that. My mom would buy clothes from the farm store. I wore blue
That.
jeans before people thought blue jeans were cool. I wore saddle shoes before people thought saddle shoes were cool.
Oh,
Um,
I love saddle shoes. So,
yeah,
still love saddle shoes. I miss them. Are you
I do.
kidding me? I miss them. They're
Yeah.
so cool.
But it wasn't cool when I wore them. It was
No,
not cool
no.
then. So that's another reason why I didn't play with a lot of people because they all thought, no, she's kind of weird. And
Hmm.
which
Why
I
is she
am.
wearing
She does
jeans
okay.
and saddle shoes?
And I had hand-me-down clothes. You know, my mom had a friend that had a girl a little older than me, and so I got all her hand-me-down clothes, which was
Hmm.
fine for me. I'm like, oh yeah, it's like Christmas every time we go to their house because she'd say, oh, we got this, we got this. But you know, when you're trying to fit in with a bunch of kids at school, I didn't fit in, and so it was very difficult at the beginning. And I think that's why so much I rebelled when I got older, because it's like, you know, nobody's going to be hurting me. And I did go through, I was molested by my uncle when I was probably about 12.
Yeah.
And that started the holding in of anger and confusion because I wouldn't tell anybody. I didn't want my aunt to know that her precious husband had done what he had done. And so that started the holding everything in. And then I also had
Hmm.
an encounter where I was attacked when I was working, at 19 years old. And I never told anybody about that either. So I entered my 20s with a very angry attitude, uh, very against men.
Yeah,
But
I
in
completely
that,
understand.
yeah, in that, I don't know if this might be getting into the next part you want to talk about, but in that, I tried to please every man that I knew or met.
Hmm.
And that I think was because of that loss, feeling unneeded, unburdened, I mean, a burden to people. And I had all
Unloved.
these feelings
Hmm.
and I didn't know how to
Hmm.
express them. So yeah, I just expressed them however I felt. And yeah. So anyway, the good part is there's hope
Yes.
because I'm not like that anymore. Thank you, thank you. Um, you know, I'm so glad that my life was able to change, and it has taken therapy and it's taken
Hmm.
time for me to get over and past those feelings. Actually, you know what I had to do? I had to admit them.
I was
That's
going to ask you, that was going to be my follow-up question, is that what age did you finally admit? And that'll be the closeout to this segment because we're going to
oh
go into
well,
a
you wouldn't
journey.
believe the
But
age I
that's,
finally admitted it. When I finally, I mean, I'm talking about the deep admittance of this is why I am like I am, was just 2 years ago. And I'm 70 now.
wow.
I
Wow.
held a lot in there. I was healed. I feel I was healed by the Lord because then that story we'll go into, but I still held that in there, like that
That
grief
resentment, that anger, that
and the
that
grief.
loss sense of it. It's a sense of loss of
Yeah.
innocence.
And what
That right there is the moment that you lost your childhood.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I remember it was like I know that it was just time for me to get over it because every time I would think about my grandpa, although he was very nice to me, he was very mean to others when he drank. But he was always nice to me. And every time I would think about him, I'd get tears in my eyes. I didn't know why. You know, I didn't have any feelings coming
Hmm.
up, but I had tears. So it's like I know there's something here. And I took the time to look myself in the face and say, "You're still holding something from that childhood." And I
Hmm.
was able to let go of that. Admit it. I had to admit it that I have this.
Yes.
And I asked the Lord, take this away from me, please. Help
Hmm.
me to choose to step away from that. You know, we tend to take on labels as kids. You know, we
We
take on
do.
a label as a troublemaker. We take on,
A nerd,
yeah,
whatever it is, we take on labels as
that's,
children. You're
that's right.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
So,
And I was,
well, I wanted to, oh,
no, I
one
was
more
just going to
thing.
say, I was actually teaching a course on the heart. Look at our heart. It was a workshop, actually. And although I had it for women and women were set free, it helped me too. Because at that point was when I said, yeah, this is something I need to look at in my heart.
Oh, I love that. And I have to, because we both are a part of the either had a personal relationship or in your case raised by an alcoholic, I mean, we know that the first step in AA is admitting that you're an alcoholic, but that's the first step in so many things in life, is to
Absolutely.
admit it. It's
Hmm.
that self-awareness of where, because you asked the question to yourself. You actually were
Hmm.
like, why am I still getting emotional when so much time has passed and I've healed from it, but what am I not letting go? And
Right.
so I think it's a beautiful first step right there, is admitting it, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is the end of the first segment of the Lynn Logic episode that I am titling The Strength Beneath Wings.
Mm.
Are you enjoying the interview? We'll be right back after this commercial. I got commercials.
Are written in textbooks. Others are carried in families, churches, classrooms, and communities. Legacy Makers brings those stories to the screen, honoring African American leaders, innovators, freedom fighters, artists, educators, and builders whose courage changed history. With cinematic storytelling and powerful reflection, each episode reveals the sacrifice behind the legacy and the humanity behind the legend. Watch Legacy Makers, now streaming on Elrod TV Network at elrodtvnetwork.com.
All right, so we are going to get into the second segment of The Strength Beneath Wings. We're going to cover the road. Now, you had mentioned before about you went rebellious in the 60s and 70s. I'm dying to know, because I didn't get to. What did that entail when you say that you went rebellious?
Well,
Driving a motorcycle through a forest at
oh
nighttime.
yeah. Oh my gosh. My mom, talk about coming home dirty. I come home filthy. It was so funny, and I got in so much trouble, and I had mosquito bites everywhere, and it's like I had the most fun, because I just went with this guy and we went riding on the bike, on a motorcycle. But as I got older, I spent a lot of time, believe it or not, shooting pool and playing. I was during the time of pinball. I love to play pinball.
You were
Um,
a pinball wizard?
I was. Oh my gosh, I could beat him. Yes, I could. Well, I worked at one of my jobs. One of my first jobs was working at a pizza place, and I was the manager. And I also made the pizzas, and I was a waitress too. I did it all. And in the time when there was nobody in there, I could just go play pinball. So I became really good at it. But and so then we hung out as I got older and had my own vehicle and stuff. Um, we hung out at bars and with crowds, that got into problems, got into trouble, and I hung around with them for a while, and then came the disco era, and I loved. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah,
Oh yeah. Disco break.
oh I love to dance, and when disco came, I was all prepared for it. Oh my gosh. And I did it in high heels. I don't know how I did it. But anyway,
But were they high heels or were they platforms?
well, I did have those too. I had the platforms. Yeah, I did have
And
those.
the
But
gold lame? I'm
at that
picturing gold
time,
lame everywhere.
yeah, at that time, I began wearing heels because at that time, I began to get in with a more, uh, oh, like a richer, more wealthy crowd of people. And we
Hmm.
would go to the discos and stuff. And it was pretty much, I hate to say it, I don't know. I guess I could say it on Lynn Logic, and you can cut it out if you want to. Um, I, basically, I I lived with a gigolo, basically, and he we would do all kinds of things. Of course, I would do it with him, and we would actually during that time it was orgies and things like that. That was the 70s.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it just so I kind of flipped into that. I went from my hippie girl with the I still had the long hair, but with the long hair and the jeans, I turned into the long hair and short skirts and high heels. And so I kind of went through that scene, but it was never fulfilling. I would take drugs
Hmm.
drugs to stay awake because I'd be partying all night. I'd take drugs to stay awake to go to work, and then
Mm-hmm.
I would take drugs at night to try to go to sleep if I was home. And it was ridiculous. And my body took a toll in that.
Yes.
And of course, my life, my family. I had two little sisters, and my stepmom didn't want me to be around my little sisters because, I mean, I had been around them, when they were younger and when
Right.
I was younger. But now that I was older and more in the world and stuff, they didn't really want me to be around them, which, it didn't bother me a lot, but I do love my little sisters a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, and I was just out of control. I was just spiraling out of control. And that's where I finally cried out to God, because I knew I could not continue in that manner. It's not a road I'm proud of, but I know that it helped to mold me and make me what I am today. Helped me be more compassionate with people today,
Mm-hmm.
because when I was out there in the world, I seen it all. I seen the people living on the streets,
Yeah.
and I seen the high rise wealthy
The
people.
ones in the mansions.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And in the government and different things like that. And so I learned about both groups of people, all kinds of people. But anyway, I finally met this man where I was working, and he is my current husband. And we will soon be married 47 years. And
Which I'm 47. I love that.
yeah, that's right. I forgot. Yes, you're born the year we got married.
Exactly.
And when
love
I
that.
met him, I did not, I'm glad I could say it while he's not home. Go out with him because of him. I went out with him because he had a new motorcycle. And I wanted to
See,
ride
you know what? It's dangerous. Those with the motorcycles. That's why I feel like it was almost a warning from every mother up until like late 80s, early 90s. Don't go back, don't get on the back of his motorcycle. Like I got that when I left the house. Don't never get on the back of his motorcycle. He drives a minivan. Don't get on the back of his motorcycle. Although my mom did get on the back of the motorcycles.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I mean,
She was just
yeah.
experience.
She was very much like you.
Well, we also had the vans too.
Yes, you did.
Okay. Yeah, back in the day, I mean, they were vans with carpeting and
The
popcorn.
shag and the
Oh, shag
disco
carpeting.
ball and
On the ceiling too.
yeah.
That was quite an era, I will say. But you know what? Also, what I loved during that time, I would go to art studios. I love to look at art, and I would go to art studios, and I had a friend that we would pretend that we were important people.
Love it.
Best time role playing. But we would go and we'd look at the artwork and we'd learn all about the artists and everything. We even went to one artist's home who lived locally, and looked at her artwork and stuff. But I mean, we would have fun times like that. I guess that was some of my earlier rebellion was going going to a restaurant, dressing up in like a ball gown, dressing all up. Somebody important, we're coming to your place for dinner tonight, and
I love
that was
it.
my early one. Then I got a little more crazy, but it was all just so much fun growing up then.
It was. Well, let's talk about you meeting your husband.
Okay.
I want to hear that story.
Well, like I said, when I met him, I was a salesperson. I actually, I sold water beds.
Something that would a position that does not exist today.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And they had just come out and were real famous, And we had this huge showroom, and I was their top salesperson. I did good, but it wasn't that I just sold beds.
I was going to say, did you wear the mini skirt and jump on them?
Oh, yes. My brother came to visit me one day, and he goes, "Sis, you look like a hooker." I'm like, well, you know. But
This
I
is
would
why I'm the
date the
top
guy.
salesperson.
I'd date him. Hey, you want to buy a bed? Sure, I'll go out with you. And so anyway, I absolutely
That
working there at that time, and
is
my husband got a job in the warehouse of the same place. So I would sell him, and he would set them up. And so a couple times he asked me to go to lunch with him, and I did. I went a couple times to lunch, and then the motorcycle. And then one day, in northern Indiana, we had a big snowstorm. Oh, well, let me go backtrack a little bit. When he came, I heard this boy is from Charlotte. And I am like, oh, I just love Southern gentlemen. I did. I just had this thing for Southern gentlemen, right? So I'm picturing him tall and dark and an accent. And when
you
I
were
met
picturing
him,
the Marlboro Man, didn't you?
yeah, it
I was
was,
gonna say.
yeah, it wasn't that. He wasn't that. And I was so disappointed. But then he got the motorcycle and stuff.
And you're like, actually, now I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, I love the bike. And we
Does he
found
know
out
that bicycle, that motorbike was the reason why
I
that you
just
got
told him
47
that in
years
the
with this
last month.
wonderful?
Yeah, yeah. But I have to say, I don't feel too bad about it because one day I was having issues, back when I was struggling with some of the issues I had about not feeling worthy of anything and I said something to him. I said, what attracted you to me when you saw me? You know what he said? Your long hair and your body. So,
There you go.
hey,
Your motorcycle's what attracted me. That's great.
so I don't feel bad about it at all. And I said
No.
this time, just in the last couple months somewhere, it's like, hey, why not? Why can't I be honest with him?
Right?
And we just started getting together. I did break up with the guy the gigolo guy. I broke up with him. And so I was alone in my apartment. I had my own apartment because I was making great money. And,
Right.
and so he would come over at night sometimes after work, and we would smoke a little bit and listen to music and talk. And we realized we really had a lot in common because his mom had died when he was 14. So he grew up with a stepmom as well. I mean, well, of course he was already 14, but his dad had remarried, and he didn't have his mom anymore. He was the youngest in the family, whereas I'm the oldest in the family. But we just we hit it off, and so we decided we'd live together and see how that worked out. And then one day we thought he wanted to go into the Air Force, and I'm like, okay, sounds good to me. I'll go with you. I had lost my job, by the way, when I told my boss I was going to marry the guy from the warehouse. He said, if you marry him, you do not have a job here anymore. I said, bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was an easy choice.
Not really realizing at the time, I really could have done something with my boss, telling me that I would lose my job if I married this guy. But anyway, I didn't. I signed a paper saying I don't want to work here anymore, So we were going to go into the Air Force.
Did he lose his job?
So he went to the checkup to go into the Air Force, and they said he had a bad back, that he would not be accepted. And just before that, we found out we couldn't get on base living unless we were married. This was, back in the 70s. You had to be married.
Right.
I don't know now that you do. But so we're like, okay, we'll get married. So we decided the end of October that we were going to get married. He went and they refused him because of a bad back. And we're like, yeah, we're already planning on getting married. Why don't we just go ahead and do it, So we did.
The logic is sound.
It made sense, so in 3
I mean, it's a Tuesday afternoon. What else are we going to do?
Exactly. That's what it was. Neither of us have a job. Yeah, why not? So we did. We got married. We were going to go with our friends up to Niagara Falls and get married. And my stepmom found out, and she's like, "No way are you doing that to us. You're going to get married in a church." Okay. So we did, but within 3 weeks, we had gotten married then. And we went on our honeymoon to Florida. On the way, we went through Asheville, North Carolina, where he had some friends there. He got offered a job. We took it. So we went back from our honeymoon and said, "We're moving to North Carolina." Family was not happy about that at all. But it was the best thing because we got away from all the people who told us what we
Yes.
needed to be, what we needed to do, and we began to
Hmm.
grow, you know.
And the
And
people that didn't want you to get married in the first place.
oh, oh, my mom at my shower said I was marrying a no good 19-year-old because he was younger than me, 19-year-old hippie with no job.
When
These
hippie actually was an insult. Let's
are,
remind, now it's a, yeah, now it's a fashion way, or whatever it is, but it was an insult.
yeah,
Like those
no,
dirty hippies.
I and but I looked that up because I was just told a couple weeks ago when I was talking to somebody. They said, "I think you were a hippie," because I was talking about my younger years. I said I was. I said, in fact, I think I still am. And
I still am.
and I looked it up, and let me see if I can find what a hippie means.
Yes.
Okay, a hippie is a free-spirited, creative, deeply connected to ideas of peace, love, and authenticity. That's the definition of a hippie.
Yes, I'm a hippie 100%. I mean, I did also go to college in Asheville, so I share that.
Oh,
I feel like that's where all the hippies go that are in North Carolina. We're like,
oh,
let's just go
really?
to Asheville. Yeah. Yeah. I
But
mean, I went to a great work study school up there that I worked in the library all 4 years. So, yes.
okay, yeah.
Isn't Trish fucking awesome? I know, right? We're gonna be right back after this commercial. I got a commercial.
Kristen Malinga, co-host of Thirsty Conversations. We just finished having an amazing conversation with comedian Rosie Tran. We talked about life, we talked about love, we talked about everything under the sun. So please check it out at elrodtvnetwork.com. Thanks. See you there.
Can I tell you something? I've known Trish for quite a while now, at least, I've talked to her on a regular basis, on a regular weekly basis, and even more so now, I consider her a friend. And I have to tell you the story of her life, the resilience of her, the strength that she has. I'm inspired. I'm 100% inspired. All the hell that I've been through, we've all got some sort of hell that we're fighting. And sharing the stories, that shares the strength. Trish shares her strength every day in ministry, in helping, in her business, in her writing, in her podcast. Every day. She is an inspiration. And that's just it. After you've survived, you're not just surviving anymore. Your survival is gone. And so, time to start living. And you know what? Trish is living. Every day she's over here like, you know what? I'm going to start a business. I'm going to do this. I'm just completely inspired by her. How are you not listening to this story of just, wow. And obviously, it sounds like she had a lot of fun. I can't fault that. But she's lived, I mean, she's lived. Her health didn't hold her back. I mean, it held her back on a daily basis, but not on an overall basis. And she's still living. She still shows up for people. She shows up in the best possible way. She shows up with love. She shows up with heart. She shows up. I'm alone a lot. And as I rebuild my life and make new friends, I can't tell you how thankful I am that I have a new friend in Trish. I mean, seriously. Oh, I do love that woman. You know what? You don't realize how your story affects other people, how it can help them. And that's what I want you to get from listening to Trisha's story, is listen to her strength. Be as amazed with her as I am, and let that fill you with hope. That's what I want to give you out of this. I want to give you hope. I hope you have a great day. Chin up, tits out. Bye. I figure with me being at 255, I don't know. And if you would like to be, words are hard sometimes. Hi, hi, my name is, hi, hi, yes, I am. Hi, my name is Lady. Hi. So I tried something new this time. After the interview with I tried some, Tris. Anybody love Blade Runner 2? Me too. Aren't you enjoying this interview? We'll come back. Aren't you enjoying this interview? We're going to be right back with some commercials. No, just one. Just one. You know, we're all alone out here. No, we're not. I don't want to say that. I'm alone. I'm alone. You guys probably aren't, but I'm alone a lot. And so, you know, you know how you have random songs that pop in your head? Okay, so here's some of the random songs going on in my head right now. Quentin's on his way, Quentin's on his way, Quentin's on his way with another J, and it's okay. Everything's okay. Quentin's on his way. That one's in my head. Also, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I'm sure that last is wrong, but yeah. Also, my baloney has a first name. It's OSCAR. This is how my brain is all the time. How do I explain to people that when I get one idea, I get 27? When someone tells me a story, and I turn this off so I can practice my active listening, but I have the propensity to ramble very well. And so when someone can give me a word and I can tell you every single moment in my memory that is inspired by that word, that's what it's like all the time. That's why I smoke weed, because otherwise my brain does not stop at all. And I don't want it to because, you know, I got stuff I gotta do. And I get to work with women like Trish, and I get to meet women like Trish. You know, we all know pain. We do. It sucks, but it's what happens after. You know, I mean, I talk about being a widow a lot, but I do believe that my husband is in a better place. I have no guilt in regards to him at all. He was in pain every day for 44 years. Like, I mean, he had a lot of demons, let's be honest. He had a lot of trauma that he could not resolve. He could not, it affected him all the time. I mean, he could not get over his own trauma, and it infected his life. and, having the propensity or having the genetic condition for that addictive nature, that's a disease all in itself. So he lost his battle with his disease. But I know he's not in pain anymore. And that, you know, that's all I got.